James, are you pleased? Are you pleased with how practice has gone so far?
I am. You know, I thought today we handled the noise extremely well. Usually we don't do noise until Wednesday. We introduce it on Tuesday, but not full blow. We did it, you know, as loud as we can get it on Tuesday and as loud as we get it on Wednesday. I thought we handled that really well. The offense did a tempo period for the defense in the beginning of practice. I thought that went really well. You know, so you know we're in a good place. I thought today's practice was you know really. I thought we executed well. I thought the energy was good. You know, so we got to finish this the rest of the week out and make sure that you know Friday night we can put our heads on our pillows and feel really good about you know the type of investment and time we put in to be prepared to play on Saturday. So far so good. Watch the tape tonight and have a better idea.
How do you prepare for JT Barrett with your scout team? I've asked you this in the past, but he's it looked like Fessler may have been out there. Do you get any of your more athletic kids, some of the DBs or running backs, to do some things, or just go with who you have?
Yeah, you just go with what we have. You know, we don't obviously. You know, I've said this before, and I don't want to sound sarcastic, but if we had someone that could replicate JT Barrett.
I know from a speed perspective.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is if you put a guy back there, what makes it difficult is when the guy that's back there can throw or run, and that's the challenge. We did a couple things in individual, a cage drill, you know, in terms of you know doing a great job of not getting too far up the field and creating seams like we did sometimes last week. But no, we you know we don't really have that guy right now to replicate that the way we would like to in practice. You know, but we did do some individual cage drills and things like that.
James, how nice is it to have two guys like Curtis Coffman, Parker Coffman, veterans, you know, really working the interior of the line. Two guys who are friends. We were talking about Curtis earlier today, and he was saying that it was a dream of his and Parker's to you know start together and everything from the get-go. And so how nice is it to have those two guys playing around?
Yeah, I think whenever you have senior, redshirt, junior, experienced players that have been in these environments before, and you know they've heard thousands of coaching points from Coach Spencer, and they've heard 1,000 coaching points from Coach Pry, and watched a bunch of film, and you know been in tough games and challenging situations. So yeah, there's a lot of value. Experience counts, as we all know in every situation. So yeah, having veterans like that on defense, you know, really at every level. You know, if you look kind of like the way a baseball team is built, you want to be strong up the middle. If you look at our D tackles, our Mike linebackers, and our two safeties, you know, we're that way. And then we have obviously experience in other spots as well, but we're strong up the middle.
James, you've faced a bunch of traditional running offenses so far this year. Is there anything different or challenging against going against a running offense like Ohio State has?
I think the biggest thing is the tempo. You know, we're a spread team, but we're not like a tempo team in terms of we're trying to run the ball, run plays really fast. It's not really how we do it. Where they are a tempo team and they're going to try to run plays fast. You know, we always saw that with Indiana, with Coach Wilson, and now he's doing it at Ohio State, and he does a great job. You know, I think it's a combination of what Ohio State's done in the past. I think it's a combination of what Coach Wilson's brought, and now they're at a point in the season where I think they've kind of figured out who they are and what their identity is, and Kevin knows what personnel he has and how to use it. And, you know, they're playing really well on the offensive side of the ball. And, you know, Coach Pry mentioned the other day, JT's probably playing as well as we've seen him play. And you're talking about a guy who's had an unbelievable college career. He's probably playing his best football right now. You know, so you know, credit to those guys.
You've been around this game every level. Have you been around a locker room that has as much self-confidence as this Penn State program does right now? I think we got a confident locker room. We got really good chemistry. You know, I think we're where we should be right now at this point of the season and with this team. But we also know that it's one thing to win at home, the whiteout. It's one thing to win at home against a ranked opponent. It's another thing to go on the road and do it. I think our team is confident, but I also think they're realistic and understand. This is going to be a tremendous challenge. They're as talented of a team as there is in the country. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a blackout from what I've heard and stuff like that. So it'll be good.
James, with the weather forecast calling for rain, colder temperatures, any extra steps in practice taken to prepare for that specifically?
Not really. I mean, I think you guys know we've talked about it before. Is when it rains, we stay out. The guys keep staring at the indoor facility, and Coach Moorhead looks at the indoor facility and would like to go in there, but we don't go in there unless it's thunder and lightning. So I think our guys have a lot of confidence in playing in bad weather. We always do some wet ball drills, especially with the kickers, the holders, and the snappers. But no, I think we've done a lot of that all year long. I'd love to get a rain day this week. If you could order that up with Penn State Meteorology. I think we had I think a couple weeks ago we were expecting rain, and we got rain during that week, which was great. But it is what it is.
Is that a philosophy there? I mean, did you have an experience in the past where you said, all right, we're going to be outside through all of that? Has that kind of always been?
Well, most places I've ever been, we never had indoor, so
yeah.
it was what it was. Kutztown doesn't have an indoor. East Stroudsburg doesn't have an indoor. Idaho State was always an indoor. It was a dome we played in. But no, I just think that you have to be able to play and train in all the elements, and the indoors there to when things go to extremes and when we have to come off the field and thunder and lightning. So it's more just the reality of training your guys to play in what they're actually going to play in on Saturday. So embrace it.
James, how do you get a team that plays the hardest game of the year without playing a game that it overthinks?
Well, I think the point there is you don't change. You don't overemphasize things. You keep teaching football the way you've taught football all year long. I typically show them a video clip every single day, whether it's NFL, college, of somebody doing something in 4-minute, 2-minute critical situation of the game. I showed them a bunch of Leon Lett plays last week. And Leon had a great career, but he had a few plays that you'd probably like to have back. So just showing them examples. I think most of our guys are visual learners, so when you can show them those types of things, I think it adds value. But for us, we're gonna stick to our routine. We've played very good, disciplined football, and we're gonna need to continue to do that. And everything's magnified, obviously, when you're on the road, but I think that's something I'm pretty proud of how we've done it so far. But I think it's anything else. I mean, if you have an issue and then you try to overemphasize it that week, you can create some doubt. So we stick to our routine.
You guys have gotten a couple of really nice blocks for your wide receivers in recent weeks down the field. Does it open up the playbook for a play caller when guys are excelling in that area?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I do think we have blocked on the perimeter. I wouldn't even say the last couple weeks. I think this year, I think that's been a big difference in our offense this year. Is our wide receivers and tight ends really taking pride and working hard at perimeter blocking. So, I guess it could open a few things for you, but more than anything, it creates explosive plays. When you can block for your fellow receivers or tight ends, or for the running back on the edge, or even the quarterback. I think we've done a really good job of that. We emphasized it all offseason, something that our DBs needed in practice, so they could work on block destruction and we could work on sustaining blocks. So I think it's probably been the area of most improvement on our offense this year.
What's the difference between Ohio State's defense and previous Big Ten opponents?
I think speed, athleticism, length. They're one of the more talented teams in the country. They have recruited really well. They have developed really well. They're really a multiple defense. They do a lot of things and do a lot of things well. I would say probably their overall speed and length and athleticism.
Do you expect them to be more aggressive or less aggressive than Michigan?
I think Michigan probably plays the most aggressive style, that we'll see all year long. But I think that's their scheme. That's kind of who they are.
Hey James, what's the value of having head coaches in the room like you with Joe, and they have Schiano and they have Wilson?
Yeah, and Larry Lewis.
Larry Lewis,
as well.
Your guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's tremendous value, because I think head coaches have to think about things differently. They have to see things differently. So to be able to get different perspective and be able to bounce ideas off of guys. I don't know if you can, put a value on it. I've heard a lot of people say that, they've become much better assistant coaches after being a head coach now and going back, because you see things different. You understand kind of the head coach's perspective, and maybe they've been in situations now that you haven't been in, and you can hear it, or it may reinforce some of the things that you already believe hearing it from somebody else. There's so much value in experience, and having more experienced guys in your room that have coached on each side of the ball, or been head coaches before, or coached in the NFL or major college football, or have coached at Ohio State in that venue. Experience counts and experience matters, and those guys bring a lot of it.
You guys are top 20 in fewest penalties in the country, and Ohio State's in the bottom half. How can that possibly be magnified when you're doing this?
To be honest with you, if you study the impact of what statistics have the most impact on winning and losing, when you study metrics like that, penalties aren't a big one, to be honest with you. I do think that they can factor in, and the game gets sloppy, and you can give first downs away and stay on the field a little bit longer when it comes to drives and things like that. But do I want to finish the game being ahead in penalties? No doubt about it. I'm not saying that, but it's not something that we pound home with our guys, because it typically is not one of those statistics that have a major impact on how the game goes.
Explosive plays are, though, as you've said. How much of a concern is that against this offense that you're playing, who's had a ton of them this year?
Yeah, it's always an emphasis for us, turnovers and explosive plays. I think one of the things that really helps our defense is going against our offense, all camp, all spring, all year, in skellies and half-line skellies and all the things that we do against each other. I think the matchups at wide receiver and defensive back, that's the best thing you possibly can do, is go good on good as much as you possibly can to help with that. But it's something we spend a lot of time talking about. Our guys understand the importance of it, and we've done a pretty good job ourselves. So it's going to be a good matchup. Their offense against our defense, and same thing on the other side of the ball with us. It should be a really exciting game to watch, and I think special teams are going to be the same way.
James, now you have half the season to study it, and you talked about adding head coaches to staff, what that does. I know you're not in their staff meeting. How does having Kevin Wilson on the staff change how their offense functions during games, just how the game's called?
Well, I think one of the things that I think is interesting is you look there, I think Ohio State kind of has a model, and although they go out and hire new personnel, they're running the same defense. They're not running the defense that Greg Schiano ran when they were at Rutgers. It's a different scheme. Now, are there elements? Yeah. Are they running Kevin Wilson's offense from Indiana? No, I think it's Ohio State and some Indiana influence. And I think in my opinion, again, I can't speak for them, but what it looks to me is at Ohio State, Urban has a system. This is what they do on offense, this is what they do on defense, and this is what they do on special teams. And whoever they hire is going to run some form of that system, if that makes sense. And I think that's what happens is Kevin Wilson's one of the better coordinators in the country, and when he first got there this year calling the plays, it took some time because he wasn't running his own thing, and they had to kind of figure that out. And that's why you see him now kind of hitting on all cylinders. And that's just my opinion. I don't know that, but that's what it looks like to me.